I'm curious to explore transition from being an engineer to a product manager. Karishma, it will be great if you can give some insights there.
Hey guys, to your question, an easy answer would be to say that I was just not a very good programmer. I realized that too late. But it's while doing this programming job that I learned how engineers think and act, the kinds of problems that they face and how they solve it. These are the questions that you see on your left, which I was doing as an engineer, trying to solve these questions. But I was exposed to the business side of these questions during my entrepreneurial journey. And I was posed with more product questions that you see on the right. And I figured out I can do better as a product manager, trying to find the right problems to solve, driving decisions towards a more effective solution, which has more customer focus, and ensuring that these solutions are making an impact.
That's great. So now that you've got the motivation to move from being an engineer to a product manager, how did you land this coveted job at Microsoft? Do you have like a secret sauce for this?
There was no secret sauce, really. That's a myth. I was rejected by a lot of companies, including startups and some tech giant corporates, before I got my first job at Microsoft. At Microsoft, I had a very good friend working who referred me here. And so I got a chance to get my resume noticed by the recruiter. After that, I just followed the recruitment process. That's when I realized that these hiring decisions are mostly about the fitness for the role, and they are not so much about perfecting the process. That's why rather than taking these rejections personally, I would recommend to just find the right job which objectively matches your skills and qualifications, and then just go all in for it.
Great. So you're actually basically telling me there's no secret sauce, there's no recipe, and that we have to do a lot of hard work. I want to understand a little bit about the technical skills, right? Your current role seems to be a very technical role in itself. Can you elaborate a little bit on what skills you need, what skills you probably acquired during your master's?
Sure. My current job has evolved a lot since I first joined about 2.5 years ago. The most important technical skills required to do my job are listed here, as you can see. However, these are very subjective to the specific team and position you're applying to. So right now I work in a platform team that owns a large-scale distributed system and data infrastructure, which is used for building intelligent apps and services in the Office group. And that's why to work in this role, these technical skills around distributed systems, analytics, and so on are critical for me.
Okay, so what courses did you acquire at Carnegie Mellon again? Did you learn all those courses at Carnegie Mellon, or were you practicing more?
Not all of them. I learned many things on the job. The courses that you saw earlier, those are which I learned at Carnegie Mellon, but also my background in software engineering and programming helped.
Great. Now, how did you show these skills on your resume? Like as a graduate student, when you first have a resume, I'm sure it's in a different format. And when you want to apply for a job, I'm pretty sure it was different. So I want to explore first, how did you structure your resume? To how did you show these skills on your resume?
Sure. So as you can see, the CV on the left is my old CV, which had a different purpose. And the CV on the right is my new CV, which I used while applying to Microsoft. Aesthetically, both are boring equally, except for the content and brevity, which I mastered over time. And take it with a pinch of salt because it is not a hardcore format for the CV. My recommendation is to customize your CV for every job, depending on the skills and experience required for it. It is time consuming and it get cumbersome, but as in when you iterate for some minor changes here and there, you repeat this process over a time period, and it brings more clarity about what format works best for you.
Okay. What specific PM skills did you put in your resume? I'm talking from a standpoint of a project you did or the way you spoke about a project. I think it would be useful.
Yeah. Again, highly depends on the job description. We have somebody who has worked in sustainability and building construction. So I'm sure this entire CV is completely irrelevant for that person. But I can tell what my job description required and what relevant accomplishments I had put in my resume. My job required somebody with an entrepreneurial exposure, a product mindset, some analytical skills, some programming experience, some design chops, and a bit of interest in consulting. So I included all of those major skills, projects, courses, and achievements that will strengthen my candidacy for this job. Anything which doesn't make sense for this job, I would deprioritize it or just cut it out from the resume.
Okay, so you're saying it's very job specific, really.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Now, I cannot leave you without asking you this question. What are the absolute do not do's on your resume? Like, what should we never do on a PM resume?
The two most important thumb rules I tell everyone is do not fake and do not elaborate in your resume. Just specify what you did in fact, not just what your team has done, but what you have done in a very precise and concise way. You can briefly mention how you did it and what was the result of it in a sentence, but it should not become a paragraph. Summarize to make it compact and emphasize only the most important skills for the job. This is something you might remember about resumes. Think of your resume like a list of catchy headlines. They should not be very revealing the entire whole story. Make the recruiter curious to know more about you. And to do that, they'll have to give you a call. Right?
That is very insightful, honestly. I think now you drilled this point to the entire audience here. Okay, great. Moving on. When you were trying to interview with Microsoft, right, did you have situations where you were given a problem and you were asked to solve a problem? If so, what did you approach it with? Kind of what did you use to solve that problem?
So in this role, generally as a PM, you'll be solving a lot of problems. So problem solving is the most important skill. You'll be dealing with a lot of ambiguities and vague requirements, changing every now and then, and always in need of clarity for communicating your ideas. Now, in order to do that effectively, you should learn to develop and follow frameworks. I cannot emphasize anymore the importance of organizing through frameworks in a PM's life. So much that, if nothing else, you should absolutely remember this from our session today. Here's an example in the slide that you see of a product design question that I was asked in my interview at Microsoft. The interviewer just asked me to design a vending machine. So I laid out all this framework, a list of questions that you see on the right, and addressed each question one by one interactively. Okay. After I was done concluding my recommendation for the solution, the interviewer threw a curveball at me and asked me to make the final solution accessible for a blind person. Now, in my head, I was face palming myself, thinking, why I did not even think about this earlier? I mean, I knew I had researched about Microsoft. I knew that it's big time into accessibility. And I should have just asked earlier to clarify whether the solution should have any special features for accessibility. So the takeaway from my experience, the first question asked by the interviewer is always intentionally vague. It's your job to reduce the ambiguities. It's your job to clarify the questions before deciding a framework so that you can accommodate corner cases and exceptions whenever there is a change of expectations so that you can design a more practical solution. Do not take for granted do not take for granted some important soft skills like listening more before you speak, receiving critical feedback to improvise, documenting everything, and giving credit to others.